Welcome, happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast as we're going to be breaking down week number 2 of the National Football League so far. And we're going to try to get through this quarter quickly because there's a game starting in about 20 minutes as the Saints and the Carolina Panthers are getting ready to kick off. And we got 2 Monday Night Football games tonight as well. Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go head-to-head as well. TJ, there should be 2 Monday Night Football games every single week. Don't you think?
Yeah, but this is America, and we don't get what we want. So
that's true. But I'm your host, David On Point. Your host, Mr. Co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. Welcome into the show. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you all enjoyed the football action you got to watch this weekend, whether that be college football or the National Football League. Let's get right into it, not waste any time. I got to fix that, but I will in a second. Let's talk a little bit about Thursday Night Football. First, we had the Minnesota Vikings going into Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, taking on the Eagles, and obviously they fell 34-28 as they tried a heroic comeback to try to come back in this game, but ended up falling short. Kirk Cousins really pretty good in this game, 31-44, 364 yards and a touchdown. Alexander Mattison, 8 carries for 28 yards. They banded the run fairly early since they did get down. Justin Jefferson, 11 catches for 159. Jordan Addison, 2 games in the NFL, 2 touchdowns. T.J. Hockenson, 2 touchdowns. K.J. Osborne, another touchdown. On the Eagles side of this, Jalen Hurts, 18-23, 193 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. DeAndre Swift looked really good in the Philadelphia Eagles jersey, 28 for 175 yards and 1 touchdown. Jalen Hurts also had 2 on the ground, and Devontae Smith, 4 for 131 and a tutty for the Philadelphia Eagles, which was a very, very strange first quarter of this game with 4 turnovers. But Minnesota continues to shoot themselves in the foot and continues to try to climb their way back into this, unable to do so 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I think the bigger focus on this is definitely the Eagles. This is 2 games in a row where they didn't finish probably as strong as they would like. I mean, you're happy with the win, obviously. Like you still got the W, but at the same time, it's like that game should have been over. Right? Minnesota should not have been able to march down the field the way that they did and got that last touchdown to make it a one possession game at 34-28. I know this caused a bit of a tiff between you and Izzy because, and I'm in the same light as you because like if a game comes down to an onside kick, the team that needs to recover the onside kick, yeah, game's over. Game's
Yeah,
pretty much
especially if you know it's coming. I mean, there are those rare exceptions where the team does recover, but it's very very
it's,
rare. And I wouldn't say me and Izzy got into a tiff. I just
I
I just
I was jokingly saying that, but
oh,
it's but like no, like I agree with you. Like it's something they have to talk about. It's something they have at least kick the ball on it. At least kick
I mean,
the tires.
4th and 20. I mean, anything's better than the system they have now. If you need to if you need to do an onside kick, you're basically never going to recover it. And I also think another conversation needs to be had about probably the most brutal rule in the National Football League, where if you fumble it out of through the end zone, you lose that call cost the Vikings the game. At the very end of the first half, Justin Jefferson's going to try to make a touchdown. He ends up fumbling it out of the back of the end zone. And if you're not aware, that rule is if you fumble it out of the back of the end zone, it becomes a touchback for the other team. That is the most brutal rule in the National Football League. I don't necessarily hate it, but I can understand why if you're a fan of a team that's gotten screwed over by that call, why you hate it. But this is the one rule in the NFL that benefits the defense, right? Like it's the only one. They've made offense easier to play with all the PI and roughing the passer, but this is the one call that it's blatantly in control of the defense.
But the problem with that rule is like, how often does that happen? Like, when's the last time that did happen?
I mean, there was a time last season. I know there was one last season where it happened, and then there was that crucial one in that Rashad Higgins play in the playoffs 2 years ago in the divisional round where he was going for the touchdown against the Cleveland Browns. Daniel Sorensen hit him, probably semi-illegal. He fumbles the ball in the end zone. It happened to Derek Carr twice, where he tried to reach to get to the goal line and ended up fumbling out of the back of the end zone. It's happened. It happens at least once a season. I guarantee it.
Like once a season, so that's a lot of games where it only be happening one time, and people but nonetheless,
I wouldn't change the rule, but I can understand why people hate it.
The only thing I would change, well, outside of a bunch of stuff, is the onside rule. Like, hey, like crunch, and you can only reserve it for,
under 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes. Like, I'm not gonna be like on some make it take type stuff. Like you score. Hey, you had the opportunity to kick it off or do the 4th and 15 and get the ball. Like, no, I'm not going to have y'all doing that all game. And yeah, I just think the Eagles, again, like this is just how they're gonna be able to win. Like, it's gonna be different. It's not gonna be like last year, right? It's gonna have to be different. Like Jalen Hurts is not going to be throwing for 300 plus yards if he doesn't have to. Like if they won this game purely on the ground.
Yeah, like 259 yard rushing. They're averaging 5.4 yards a clip on the ground.
Like, hey, and Nick Sirianni is smart enough to know, like, hey, you can't stop this one thing we're doing. I'm not going to change it up.
Yep.
And
for Minnesota, I mean, you got to clean up the sloppy play. They had a turnover, like 3 fumbles in a row where they basically turned the ball over. And also one on a kick return. You have 4 fumbles in this game. You just have to clean up some of this stuff because Minnesota, the exact opposite of what happened in last season where they were winning these one possession games, they're losing them this year. They're 0-2. They won 11 games. They went 11-0 in one possession games last season. In the first 2 games of the season, they're 0-2 in one possession games. You have a lot of stuff you got to clean up there in Minnesota. Moving on from there, let's talk about Sunday. First game on the docket there. The Green Bay Packers go into Atlanta, and Atlanta comes out 2-0 as they beat Green Bay 25-24. Jordan Love again efficient. You would like to see the completion percentage be a little bit higher. but 14 out of 25, 151 yards, 3 touchdowns. Quadzilla filling in for Aaron Jones, 15 for 55. And then Wicks and Jaden Reed, welcome to the NFL moment for him. 4 catches for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Wicks had 1 touch. I'm not totally sure how to pronounce that first name. Dante Vian Wicks, 1 touchdown for him. On the other side, Desmond Ridder. Yeah, Dontavian, thank you. Desmond Ridder, 19 of 32, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Bijan Robinson goes over the century mark for the first time in his career, 19 carries for 124 yards. And Drake London gets his first touchdown of the season with 6 catches for 67 yards as the Green Bay Packers fall to the upstart Atlanta Falcons. Izzy, welcome to the show.
Oh,
well, perfect. What good time.
Don't act like you was talking about the Packers. Don't act like you ain't seen me.
I didn't. I was reading stats.
I'm just playing with you. I'm just playing. Man, you know what?
But Atlanta, this is a game for Green Bay. You're up 12 points at the end of in the fourth quarter. You should win this game. You have to shut the door.
Yeah, the defense didn't show up for him in the fourth quarter. I mentioned that to.
I don't think it was the defense. I think it was a combination of defense and the run game. You only had 84 rushing yards for the game. You're up 12.
Well, yeah. Let me get to that. No Aaron Jones. Well, no Aaron Jones.
I understand that, but AJ Dillon ain't no scrub.
Yeah, no, and the two guys on the left side of the line weren't there as well. You had 4 missing key players. We still put up 24 points in 3 quarters. The defense does got to shut the door there in the second half as well.
Especially against an Atlanta Falcons team that doesn't have a explosive offense.
Yeah, 24 points. The way that they were up, 24 points is enough. Especially, I expect more from the defense. They're a veteran-laden veteran-laden bunch on that side. When you look at some of their key pieces. So defense should have shut the door, in my opinion. But I do agree with you, TJ. In the fourth quarter, you got to pick up somewhat of a first down in the fourth quarter. And they did struggle to do that. The Green Bay Packers did in the fourth quarter. But Jordan Love looked better than he did. He had better numbers than he did in this Falcon game as a QBR than the Bears, right? He had a 67 QBR against the Bears, 81 in this game. So he was more proficient in this game. Fourth quarter, they just couldn't get it done. And I do agree. I said the same thing, AJ Dillon. Just,
I mean,
Atlanta can't get it done sometimes, man.
Atlanta doubled up the Packers in terms of yardage in this game. They also had about 10 more first downs, and they won time of possession by over 13 minutes. Like, Atlanta Falcons played Atlanta Falcons football, and that's how they won the game.
So I got to tip my hat off, man. Bijan Robinson was real special. He was special yesterday. He had over 100. What was it? 120 yards.
129 yards. He went over the century mark for the first time in his career.
Yeah. So nothing else to say about that. We should have won that game, but it is what it is. Win some.
By the way, gentlemen, you guys are looking good with your glasses on today. Both of y'all, good fresh.
TJ actually need his glasses. These is like these is just frames to make me look a little bit more intelligent.
Moving on from this game, let's talk a little bit about Buffalo putting the drumming on the Las Vegas Raiders 38-10. And I absolutely predicted this. It was my lock of the week. I got 2 of my locks right. I obviously lost that Chargers one. That was tough. But they lose this game 38-10 to the Buffalo Bills. Jimmy Garoppolo, 16-24, 185 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 picks. They basically ran the ball not a lot. Josh Jacobs only had 9 carries in this game. Devontae Adams had the lone receiving touchdown for the Raiders. And Buffalo, -2 yards. Buffalo came back with vengeance. 31 of 37 for Josh Allen, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. Damian Harris, Latavius Murray all had rushing touchdowns. Gabe Davis, Khalil Shahir, Dawson Knox all had receiving touchdowns in this game as well.
I think we all kind of picked Buffalo to win this game because we all said the same thing. They were pissed off after that Jets game. You fight your way back to tie that game, and
you felt like you kind of got you might have felt like you got stiffed on that. I mean, obviously you still probably lose if the ref calls that tripping penalty because that puts him right in field goal range. But Josh Allen was the Jets' best player. He turned the ball over 4 times. He basically gifted them that game, and he came out 31 of 37.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Josh Allen that efficient. 31 of 37. You threw the ball 37 times, and you had 6 incompletions with 3 touchdowns and 274 yards. You only got sacked twice compared to whatever the Jets did to you the week prior.
Yeah, the Bills definitely went to grandma's house and showed up basically everything that they did wrong in that first game, and they put the hurting on the Las Vegas Raiders.
The most important thing in this is the run game. This is what we've been talking about with Buffalo for the last handful of years. You gotta match the pass attempts. 35 to 37. James Cook has his best game as a professional. 17 for 123. He didn't score, but he averaged 7 points. He averaged 7 yards a carry.
And in one of the rare instances where Josh Allen wasn't the leading rusher on the team.
He only ran the ball 3 times. This is like, so if I'm whoever the offensive coordinator is, I'm looking at this game like, hey, this is it. This is it. And now don't get me wrong, I understand that every defensive front that you face is not going to be as quote unquote porous as
the Raiders,
especially on the interior, because on the edge you got Max Crosby on one side. I don't know what's going on with Chandler Jones, but
he's not playing. I don't think
he's playing. So like on the interior, I'm gonna keep gashing them. And Gabe Davis, 6 for 92, Stephon Diggs, 7 for 66. This is what you asked for now and defensively, defensively, you pissed off. You had that game. You held them to 10 points. 10 points. You led one of the best rushers in the game to no yards. None. And this is a defense without Von Miller. Without Von Miller. Remember that. So it's like, I know the Jets offensive line, they quote unquote they're bad, but I saw a lot of double and triple teams on that man Ed Oliver week 1. So a lot of them. I know, and the Raiders did get their ass beat physically too. What's his name? Devontae Adams was in concussion protocol. They lost. I think they lost Jacoby Myers. No, they lost.
Jacoby Myers didn't play in this game. Yeah, he was already out before the game even started.
He was already out. Never mind. But it was a bunch of, and Jimmy G kind of came back down to earth. I'm like, yeah, that's the Jimmy G we know. 16 to 24, 185, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. That's the Jimmy G we know without throwing to all pros to his left and to his right and handing them off to all pro running backs with all pro offensive linemen. That's the Jimmy G we know. That's the Jimmy G to expect.
Thoughts?
Man, you know what? We already knew that Buffalo was gonna come out here and take care of business at home. I mean, everything. I don't even want to add. We could just keep going to the next thing in the show.
Moving on to the next game, we got the Baltimore Ravens going in Cincinnati, coming out with the victory 27-24 as Joe Burrow struggles again for the second week in a row. Lamar Jackson bounced back in a big way this week though. 24 of 33. 237 yards and 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards had a rushing touchdown for the Ravens. In the passing game, Nelson Aguilar and Mark Andrews had receiving touchdowns for the Ravens. On the other side, Joe Burrow, 27 of 41, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Joe Mixon, 13 carries for 59 yards. T. Higgins had both touchdowns for the Cincinnati Bengals as they go on to lose 27-24, and they slip to 0-2. In a very competitive AFC North.
My man. Yeah, look. Joe Burrow dealing with some type of injury right now, so he doesn't look the same as what he does. But that's no excuse for the Baltimore, for the Cincinnati Bengals to come out with such a porous effort
Thank you.
On on offense that were not on offense but on defense that were expected. I mean, as a whole, I would like to see I would like to see Jamar Chase get a little bit more involved. I'm not sure what was going on here with the Cincinnati Bengals, but Joe Burrow just doesn't look the same, man. He throws that one interception. Jamar Chase is getting 8 targets, five receptions. They just got to do more. But on defense, I mean, you gave up 178 yards on the ground to the Baltimore Ravens. So this team does need a reality check. They're just not as good of a defense as we thought that they were going to be coming into this game. I think there were some glaring holes on that defense that they needed to suit up. And we all know that the identity of the Baltimore Ravens is, the running game, right? We know that that's what their identity is. Hopefully Odell Beckham Jr. I know he got a little dinged up in this game. Hopefully he's a little better by next week. But yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals aren't the team that everybody thought they were. And I think the Baltimore Ravens. I actually picked the Baltimore Ravens to win this division. So there we go. For all that matters.
Welcoming into the show from the DailyBlitz.blog, Mr. Christian Simpson. Welcome into the show, my friend. Give us some analysis on Ravens Bengals.
Everybody's panicking about Cincinnati because they started 0-2 last year, but they still made it to the AFC Championship, right? But
they weren't beat up though either.
What'd you say?
They weren't beat up either. Like
yeah,
Burrow
that's true.
Burrow was healthy.
I think you're seeing the Jesse Bates impact and him not being there. That secondary misses.
That too.
Didn't they lose both of them though?
But Cincinnati just played a little too soft for my liking because they played back in a lot of zone. And Lamar, like I always tell TJ, Lamar left with too clean of a jersey from my liking. And I think they kind of depend on Burrow a little too much. You shouldn't be throwing the ball over 40 times again. I think they need to get Joe Mixon going. He, to me, is the catalyst that makes this entire offense go. And I always say he's their version of Aaron Jones.
Preach that gospel.
Hey, hold on though. Our boy back there though, TJ. We need to see a little bit more of our boy there, Chase Brown.
Yeah, Chase Brown. Got to get him.
Joe Mixon's not going to get done.
It's the run game and just 15 attempts for the team. 15 attempts for the team, brother. We've literally seen games where Joe Mixon has 15 attempts by himself.
Well,
so
Chase Brown only had 1 attempt in this game. I want to say if you want to be a successful team, and Joe Burrow and you're going to help out Joe Burrow with this injury issue, you got to run the ball at least 25, 30 times.
Now, what doesn't help is Joe Burrow aggravating said injury, right? So
yeah,
I don't know what's gonna. We don't know what's gonna happen for week 3.
I mean, calf injuries can be real tough. I don't know, but
I liken calf strains to high ankle sprains. Like they're so easy to tweak. Like one wrong step, like you get pulled down the wrong way. It's like he can literally aggravate the injury walking at home. Like it's one of those. Because it's like, you got to get up, you got to move around. Like, what you gonna do? Just lay around all day? No, you're not gonna do that. So, but at the end of the day, they had a shot to win it. I mean, Baltimore was up 10 was up 10 at the start of the basically at the start of the 4th, and Cincinnati made it a little too close to call. Baltimore it's on Baltimore for this game to finish. They got to finish strong. They got to finish that better. But I do like what David said about Lamar Jackson. He bounced back way better. So did Joe Burrow for that matter. But yeah, Cincinnati's 0-2. And Christian said, people are panicking. Why is Taysom Hill taking? Never mind. But at the same time, Burrow and them not healthy. And they're no Jesse Bates. So you got your secondary just got a lot younger.
Moving on from this game, we're swinging to the NFC. We got a rematch from last season and similar result. Game of the week for sure. Some results of what we had is a barn burner with Seattle coming out top over the Detroit Lions 37-31 and spoiling that Lions home opener. Geno Smith bounced back off of what was a really pedestrian week one, 32 of 41, 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker punched in 2 on the ground. And Tyler freaking Lockett had 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. On the other side of this, Detroit, Jared Goff, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. David Montgomery also had 1 on the ground. And then Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond had the receiving touchdowns for the Detroit Lions. 2 for Reynolds and 1 for Khalif Raymond. And the Sun God went over the century mark for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Go ahead. I like who's the new guy they got with the ski mask? What is that? Gardner Johnson.
CJ Gardner Johnson.
That was a cute little way to try to hype your team up. You just got to win, dude. I mean,
he had the most tackles on the team.
And then
it's not even that. They just got a whole bunch of holes on their defense, man. Their defensive schemes are just off. They weren't able to get that pressure that they were able to get against the Chiefs in that first week against Geno Smith. And I think I liked what the Seattle offense. I mean, they came out a little bit more physical in this game. At the point of attack. Kenneth Walker. I mean, when they were at the 1 yard line, what they do, they punched it in with Kenneth Walker as opposed to trying to pass it in with Geno Smith. That sends a message right there. But we kind of knew that this was going to be a shootout, and it was. I could say a whole bunch of things about how bad these teams were defensively. Yeah, they suck. Both of these defense stink defensively, and they're both going to have to win a bunch of high-scoring games. And I thought I'm disappointed in Seattle. Okay, I thought their defense was going to be a lot better than this. But they are going against the Detroit Lions, so that I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. But both these teams looking like the rest of the year, they're going to have to be in these track meets to be able to win games. And sometimes when you're in the track meet, the other guy's faster than you, and that's what Seattle was, right? They were just faster at the end of the game. I mean, and they won what they won in what was it? It was in overtime. Was it overtime? No, it was overtime.
Yeah, they won in overtime. Yeah. Walk off Tyler Lockett touchdown.
Yep. So there you go. Speed kills, my man. Speed kills. Tyler Lockett, man. The smallest guy damn near on the field. Probably, what is he, 175, 180 pounds with a soaking wet with a rock in his hand? And he's still out there catching touchdowns. So,
Christian.
Knew it was gonna be a shootout. Like, there he go, drinking his son's juice boxes. But you know what? I ain't even gonna hate. Seattle needed this game because there was no way that they could go 0-2. Geno bounced back. And that guy that Izzy just mentioned, Tyler Lockett, I feel he doesn't get the respect he deserves. He has like 6 or 7 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons, and everybody thought he was a product of Russell, last name Wilson, but he's
we don't talk about him on this channel.
Who?
Russell Wilson.
Nah, we're gonna talk about him.
Yeah. Nah, we're gonna talk about him. But this is a big win for Seattle, and you can't talk that talk and then get your ass beat in overtime like that. Telling everybody to go and buy ski masks, and look, I would have trolled them the same way the Lions.
I thank you. I'm from Seattle. I'm in the locker room when ski. Yeah, I'm waving bye to the crowd. I'm doing all that. I'm talking big garbage, and you already know what goes on like in between the lines, right? Izzy, Christian, like we play football. We know what's being said on that field to each other. We know what's being said. Oh yeah, I'm definitely, especially if I win the game. Yeah, definitely bumping my gun.
Moving on from this game, let's talk a little bit about the AFC matchup between the AFC West and the AFC South. Tennessee Titans come up on top over the Los Angeles Chargers. This game also went overtime as they win on a Nick Folk field goal in OT to go up 27-24. Justin Herbert, 27-41, 305, 2 touchdowns. Austin Eckler did not play for the Chargers in this game, so Joshua Kelly got the start, 13 carries for 39 yards. Keenan Allen had a dose touchdowns. He went over the century mark as well as a member of the Chargers. Ryan Tannehill bounced back, which was from a woeful week one to have 20 of 24 for 246 and a touchdown. Derrick Henry, 25 of 80 and a touchdown. Ryan Tannehill also had one on the ground. And Nick Westbrook-Akine had the lone receiving touchdown for the Tennessee Titans, also costing me one of my survivor picks.
Man. Hey, you know what? Look,
I got my arm raised. I raised my hand.
Go ahead. I can't see. I was looking at.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I just want to say this brief little snippet, and then the floor is yours. I think I read something that the Chargers have scored like 58 points in 2 games. They have 0 turnovers, and they're 0-2.
I mean, if you look at the last 3 games that they've played, they've scored over 90 points in those games and lost all 3.
So, go ahead.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, like, look, this team played well enough to they're scoring enough, they're moving the ball enough to win the football game. This defense is just not physical. You know, this defense is just not physical. 34 catches. Tajay Spears, you know, is a rookie. And I love Tajay Spears, but he's running at 6 yards a clip every time he gets the ball. Okay. And not to mention, I mean, Derrick Henry, you stacked the box when Derrick Henry was in the game, but these guys were more physical at the point of attack. They were physical in the trenches. They smacked you in the face. They smacked you in the mouth. And the Chargers just didn't know how to respond back per se with the physical play. And I knew this was a hard game playing in Tennessee for the Chargers, but I think that their offense can travel, and I think that their offense is an offense that sputtered at points in this game. But you know, this is no excuse. The Chargers on defense need to be much better than this. This is not. The defense is not great. It's just not where I want it to be. You got Joey Bosa, you got Khalil Mack, you got guys on there that can really ball out, and you guys cannot beat the Tennessee Titans. And you made Ryan Tannehill look. He was what, 20 or 24?
Yeah, 4 incompletions the entire game. 4.
Oh, so
that is unacceptable.
So they made him look like Dan Marino.
They made him look like, you know, and his jersey was quite clean most of the game.
I mean, he got sacked 5 times in this game, right? Joey Bosa did have 2 sacks in this game, along with Morgan Fox and Sante Samuel. No, Kenneth Murray also.
5 sacks should have been 10.
Yeah, probably.
No, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Go ahead, Christian.
He's not. I mean, look, the Chargers just looked soft in the second half. They were physical. They were downhill. They were aggressive all in the first half. But Tennessee just made those adjustments, it appears. And the Chargers really missed Austin Eckler. You know, I think he is the key to this entire offensive attack because he does so many things. We know what he can do as a runner. He can catch the ball out the backfield. He can create those mismatches with linebackers in space. I don't think there's a corner or a safety that can even cover him. But it's defensively. They're a soft curtain, and this is where you're seeing their problems right now. They deserve to lose this game.
TJ.
Yeah, that was again just off this season, 58 points scored, which makes you one of the highest scoring offenses in the game. You haven't turned the ball over, and you've lost both of those games. Like I said it last week when they played the Dolphins. You had over 200 yards rushing, and you lost. You lost that game. Like, that doesn't happen a lot. Like, running for 200 yards and losing. That doesn't happen a lot. Izzy brought up Tajay Spears having 6.1 yards a carry. Hey, if I'm the Chargers, yeah, I'll live with that. If I lose a game to the Tennessee Titans and Tajay Spears gashes me, but I make like Derrick Henry 25 for 80, 3.2. That was a hard 80. That was like he had to earn every bit of that 80.
That wears down on you though. 25 carries from Derrick Henry. You trying to tackle that big boy?
But that's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Like that's all right. He ain't. We know full well what Derrick Henry's capable of.
That's true. They kept him mostly in check. Moving on from this game, we're going to swing into the NFC and a battle between the NFC North and the NFC South as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Chicago Bears 27-17. Justin Fields 16-29, 211 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. He also had a rushing touchdown in this game. Chase Claypool had the lone receiving touchdown for the Chicago Bears. On the Tampa Bay side of this, 26-34, 317 yards and a tutty. Rashad White, 17-73 and a touchdown. Mike Evans could not be guarded in this game. 6 catches for 171 yards and a touchdown as the Bears fall to 0-2, and the surprising Tampa Bay Buccaneers rise up to 2-0.
First off, Izzy, if you don't have juice boxes, I need you to share with the rest of us. Share with the class. Be nice.
It look good while I'm doing it. While I'm jerking it.
Be nice. Anyway, the whole Mike Evans couldn't be guarded thing. Mike Evans got away with 2 push-offs.
At least one on the long pass play that was like 60 yards.
It's like, yo, how do you not how do you not call that? Like that was just like when every again, I understand refereeing is a hard job. I'm not saying it's not. But when the millions and millions of people at home can see the push off from their TV and they're not there in person. If the millions of people at home can see it on TV and call out, because like you go on Twitter, all you see is Mike Evans is pushing off, da 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 da. As a league office, you kind of have to take that into you have to take that and be like, yo, you can't miss that. And it was clear as day that he pushed off. Like now, I'm not saying that's why the Bears lost. I'm not saying that at all. It's too inconsistent. Like you had that first drive, which is great, and then you get away from that the rest, like up until like the fourth quarter. Like you get that first drive, great. Fields is throwing dots. DJ Moore's already doubled his yardage in that first drive that he had the whole game against Green Bay, right? Fields rushes it in. Second drive comes after a blocked field goal. You get the ball at midfield. What do you call? Luke Getsy calls a jet sweep.
He's terrible.
He calls a jet sweep where it's 2-on-4, meaning 2 Bears players have to block 4 Tampa Bay players. Negative yards. All right, now we're behind the sticks. You know what's coming next? Everybody knows what's coming next. Screenplay.
He's terrible. He might be a mole. He might be a mole in Bears camp over there.
Like it's just like it's
sabotaging game plans.
I swear to God, I don't want to see. And I know it's gonna come anyway, but like I never want to see another screenplay again. Like I really don't.
So Justin Fields had 2 interceptions on. I can't even
fault him for the first one. I can't even fault him
for the second one either. Shaquille Barrett made
the one that was returned for a touchdown was not a good throw. Like even if the screen, it's not a good play call. Like the play call is not good. It's not a good play call, but he threw it poorly.
You know why it's not a good play call?
David,
it's not a good play call because
hold on. David, it's a screen pass. How great do you want to screen pass? Like
he threw it right to him. Like it was not close to where it needed to go.
No.
Shaquille Barrett made a better play than
what I want to say.
It was a poor throw.
It's a screen pass.
This is what I want to say about that second interception. We can talk about this. Luke Getsy ran the same damn play back to back, 2 times in a row with the same formation, back to back. The first time they threw the screenplay, they actually got a first down and got called back for holding. Or got called back for pass interference. Pass interference. That was garbage. And I want to say this. Shaquille Barrett, all he did, he knew what was coming, and all he did was reach back. That was a great play. I mean, you could say it was a bad throw, you could say whatever the case was, but I mean, Luke Getsy with his play calling is you can see that Justin Fields hasn't made his strides yet because that team just has not put him in a position to succeed. It's cute. You had a DJ Moore last year. You had a Chase Claypool. You got Darnell Mooney. You added some offensive line help, but still, those schemes are not going to cut it. You have to let them loose. This is the problem I had in the first two games. Now, all of a sudden, this year, you want to force Justin Fields to be a pocket passer, and it's like, no, keep putting him in positions to win. Keep putting him outside the pocket. This is my problem when Mitch Trubisky was the quarterback, is that I said, hey, damn, the offensive line isn't that good. You have to get him moving. He's better on the run throwing the football. What did Matt Nagy do? Kept him in the pocket and let him get killed and have to process information when he couldn't process information that well from the pocket. Obviously, Justin Fields isn't processing the information well in the pocket. So what do? Get him going outside the pocket. Hopefully week 3, Justin Fields says, F this. If I don't see it in 3 seconds, I'm taking off. That's it. I'm taking off. And that's what I think they need to do. And I see a lot of Bears fans being offensive wizards. I bet half of them never even fucking, no, go ahead. And he stepped on the field and played football. And this guy touchdown. Dude, you know how fast windows close in the NFL?
Thank you, bro.
In a split second. So stop trying to
don't get me wrong.
Still frame a picture and say that.
Yeah, thank you. A still frame doesn't no justice because a still frame, it's like this guy's open, that guy's open, that guy, but you don't see where this guy is open. It's like, all right, there's 2 defenders here, there's a defender there, this guy's lurking. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. Like just because you say this guy's open and this could happen, that don't mean that doesn't necessarily mean that that's gonna happen. My bigger concerns is again on the defense. How are you not getting off the field on third down? Like you make Baker Mayfield look invincible.
You don't have a single sack.
Should have had 2 sacks yesterday. Yeah, Yannick Ngakoue should have had 2 sacks yesterday, and somehow, some way, Baker Mayfield just slivers through them. Now you got folks like Skip Bayless talking about there's Baker. He's doing it. Hey, it's like, no, dude. Like,
Vita Vea, Vita Vea got to be the strongest interior defensive lineman outside of Aaron Donald because he was literally pushing 2 guards back with 2 hands the whole game.
Now, I will say this. First off. Hey, Bears fans, we got to do better. We got to do better. Nate Davis missed this game because he had a death in the family. But before that information was revealed, you got folks on social media talking about this guy's the worst signing Ryan Poles ever did. He's a bust. He's this, he's that. Then all of a sudden, you get news that he had a death in the family, which has been like he's been dealing with this issue since the offseason, which is why he wasn't in training camp the entire time. He was there sporadically and whatnot. Now that person has tragically lost their battle, and he's dealing with that in his own way. And you got folks like, well, why can't the Bears just say that? You want to know why they can't? Because it's none of our goddamn business. He's a person. He's a person. So like if you go through something, you want your business out there for everybody? No, you don't. So shut the hell up. Nate Davis, thoughts and prayers to you and your family. Come back when you ready.
Christian, before we move on, final thoughts.
They pretty much summed it up really well. TJ and I have been talking about this, and Tampa is probably the most surprising 2-0 team. We're not gonna act like
I gotta get out of Washington.
You could make a case for them, but look, Tampa went from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. Just think about it.
Oh my
that
God.
way. But let's not act like this defense, like TJ said, still doesn't have those heavy hitters. You know what I mean? Look, to me, Tampa has the best duo of linebackers in the National Football League, and Devin White and Levante David. You got Shaq Barrett coming off the edge. When he's on the field, Carlton Davis is pretty good, but I think the guy that really makes everything go for this defense is Antoine Winfield Jr. Closest thing I've seen to Rodney Harrison. The Bears have some soul searching to do. Plain and simple.
Moving on from this game, we're going to swing into the AFC and the final game in the early window, I believe. We got the Kansas City Chiefs going into Jacksonville, coming out the W 17-9. What a difference it makes when you have your security blanket and Travis Kelce back for the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, 29-41, 305, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Isaiah Pacheco, leading rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Sky Moore and the recently returning Travis Kelce had receiving touchdowns in this game. Trevor Lawrence, just okay in this game. 22 of 41, no touchdowns, no picks. Travis Etienne, 12 carries of 40 yards. Christian Kirk went over the century mark for the first time this season.
Go ahead,
Christian. Go ahead, Christian. Oh, you need to talk. We've been talking this last.
No, this was a grinded out game. These are games you normally don't see the Kansas City Chiefs in, because what do they want to do? They want to run the score up. They want to move the ball up and down the field. But I'm still kind of concerned about them because, yes, Travis Kelce is back, okay, and that's great. But who's going to be your consistent second pass catcher after him? Like, that right there is the million.
Well, I think Sky Moore stepped up in this game. I mean, he was the leading receiver.
He had the one.
That's who I think is going to be.
But he had, his 54-yard catch was he had all of that really on one catch, and that was in the third quarter. So I kind of, in a way, agree with Christian because he wasn't consistent enough to be like that's a threat.
Yeah, he had all but 16 yards in that one catch.
And I like how they were trying to establish Isaiah Pacheco, because I was talking to someone after the Lions game, and I said, dare I say it, are the Chiefs a little too dependent on Patrick Mahomes? Because, yes, you were without Travis Kelce the other day. So as a defender, your entire game plan changes, right? You're not going to play tight at that line. You can play off a little bit more. I would have been running that football, because when Isaiah Pacheco runs that football, Izzy and I talk about it all the time. They're consistently feeding him the ball. He does something with it, kind of cut from that Philip Lindsay cloth. Downhill runner, shifty in space, can run in between the tackles, can bounce outside on the perimeter. And you just saw the difference in Kansas City's defense with Chris Jones on the field, because they couldn't get any type of pressure on Jared Goff in week 1. Now, you add Chris Jones to the mix, and what does he do? He's that lane clogger. So he gets a lot of attention up front, right? And what does that do? That allows everybody to naturally roam around and make plays on the football. And look at how guys like George Karlaftis, they were able to get home to the quarterback. And those guys in the secondary, they were able to naturally make plays on the ball. This is a good win for the Chiefs. There was no way they were going 0-2.
I think if you're the Jags, you kind of got to look at this at the Kansas City Chiefs as this legit might be your boogeyman. Like you can be great against everybody else, but when you play them, damn, it's like why? It's like we literally it's one of those games. It's like, hey, the game plan is like, hey, this is foolproof. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. And then when it's time to come to do it, damn, it don't work. And to Christian's point, like this was a grinded. That's kind of what makes it that much more demoralizing for the Jags, because this wasn't no shootout. Right, this was a grinded out, grown man, old school, mid 2000s, early 2000s football game, and you couldn't swing back. You couldn't do nothing. 9 points. And 9 points for the entire game for one of the most heavy, for one of the best offenses in the league. 9 points.
Stuff. Moving on from this game, we're going to swing into the AFC South, talk about the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans going head-to-head, and the Colts come out with the victory 31-20. Gardner Minshew was the leading pass thrower for the Indianapolis Colts, as Anthony Richardson again got knocked out of this game. I think it was before halftime or something like that.
Concussion.
But Gardner Minshew was very efficient in this game. 19 of 23, 171 yards and a touchdown. Anthony Richardson was 6 of 10, 56 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He did have 2 on the ground, and Zach Moss also had a touchdown on the ground. And Izzy's boy, Kyle grandson, had the lone receiving touchdown for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
If you watch the Fantasy Football Weekly show, then you know. Obviously, C.J. Stroud, a very much better game than his first outing. This one, 30 of 47 with 2 touchdowns. Dameon Pierce, 15 for 31. Nico Collins went over the century mark, and he also had a touchdown. And Tank Dell got his first NFL touchdown as well. So shout out to Tank Dell. Keep on trucking, you drive turkey. And John Mechie III. First catch in the National Football League. He obviously went to Alabama, was part of that team there. They got lost to Georgia in the Natty. Was diagnosed with cancer before last season started. Fought his way back, and now back in the NFL. Good to see him get his first catch as a pro.
Game.
Love it.
Yeah. Man, hey, I'm glad you got that shout out, David. I can't wait to the show on Wednesday. Oh,
Yes, you can.
I can't wait, brother. Man, you know what? I will say this, man. That Colts defense is decent. It's pretty decent. I think if there's it's going to be a strong suit all season, it's going to be that defense. Even albeit they gave up 384 yards to C.J. Stroud, but he threw it 47 times. And I mean, C.J. Stroud. Out of all, I'm watching Bryce Young right now. C.J. Stroud, out of all the rookie quarterbacks, looks the best right now. So I think Houston's in good hands with him. But when I look at it, man, this is both teams. I think the Houston Texans are just a younger team. They're just gonna have to get more reps to some guys, but they're just not that talented. On offense, there's not a really one guy that's a key wide receiver. They have a bunch of wide receiver threes. May I say, they don't play fantasy, David. So they, you know what I'm talking about, right, David? So they have a bunch of guys they don't have a main wide receiver that's going to go out there. Dameon Pierce, he's not a guy that is a game changer for them. So Houston Texans are just going to go through a lot of growing pains this year. But I like to see that CJ Stroud, look okay. No picks, no turnovers. He still threw for a lot of yards, but he had a lot of high volume. So,
yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, folks are clowning. Sorry to make it about Justin Fields again, but they're clowning him because CJ Stroud has already thrown for 300 yards and Justin Fields has never done that. I'm like, Justin Fields has also never thrown the ball 47 times in the game either. I don't like that on the Houston front. I don't like the fact that he threw the ball over 40 times, period. Like, you doubled up your rush attempt. Like, the one thing that y'all had going for y'all last season is he was Dameon Pierce in that ground game. Right, so you got to get that established, especially when it looks like your defense couldn't get off the field. Right?
2 yards a pop is hard to get established. But you got
to keep going. You got to keep them honest though. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just be like, all right, we ain't averaging 4 yards to carry, so we gotta abandon it. Like, no, we down 14 early. We got to get away from the run game. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Shoot, at half they were down 28-10. So I understand why they had to throw that football.
But like at the same time, like, and I understand that too. But I just I felt like they might have deviated from whatever the game plan may have been just way too early. That's just me. On the Colts side, again, this is the second game in a row Anthony Richardson has not finished, and Colts fans and Christian know who I'm talking about. Colts fans can be like, "Oh, they being precautious." Da, da, da. Like, no, that's a sign. That's a sign. Like, it's this early in his rookie season. It's 2 games. He hasn't finished either game. That's concerning.
Well, he's gonna have to learn fast. This is in Florida. This is the SEC. And when you get out in no field, you gotta learn how to slide.
Like, you would think, and that's a good point too. Like, bro, like, I understand. Again, I said this last week. You're 6'4", you're 240, but you know what? You know who else is 6'4", 240? Them other
Everybody
linebackers.
else.
Everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else. Yeah, exactly.
Like
Exactly.
hey, I'm just mad at Gardner Minshew because Gardner Minshew cost me a bet against David. David was like he was like this close to having to buy a Gardner Minshew jersey. I think you should still do it anyway because you got what's good.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's not the way. That's not the way bets work. Christian.
Yeah, I'm concerned about Anthony Richardson because look, I get you want to lower that shoulder. I get you feel like you're more overpowering than everyone else, but at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence even said it best.
You gotta protect yourself, kid.
You have to protect yourself.
You better protect yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, Izzy, as I was watching him, we always like to compare these players, right? You know who Anthony Richardson kind of reminds me of a little bit now that I was thinking about it? Everybody wants to say Cam. I don't see it. I see a more mobile Dante Culpepper in him. Just that big guy in the pocket.
Culpepper was big as hell, too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, Houston, they need more. Like you guys just said. They need more talent. They need a running back. But I like what I'm seeing from C.J. Stroud so far.
Moving on from this game, we're going to swing into the NFC West as the San Francisco 49ers move to 2-0 as they beat the Rams at SoFi Stadium 30-23. Brock Purdy continues to be undefeated as a starter, where a game that he's finished 17-25, 206 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. They had a hat trick of rushing touchdowns. McCaffrey, Samuel, and Brock Purdy himself, and Deebo Samuel, leading receiver for the San Francisco 49ers.
I know Izzy's been chomping at the bit to get to this one. Izzy, you have 30 seconds.
Oh man, now you know what?
You got 30.
What makes me,
Well,
it could go either way.
I didn't hit start yet. You got.
Oh my God. Okay, give me 30 seconds. You'll give it to me. I'll go 30 seconds. I'll just talk about the whole game in general.
I know the Rams cost you a parlay, so I know that's.
No, they did. They sure as hell did. And I'll say
go.
Okay, I'll say this. I got 30 seconds. Puka Nacua looking like offensive rookie of the year so far.
Over the century mark for 2 games in a row. 147 yards.
So I would say that one thing, and I'll say this: when Cooper Kupp comes back around week 5, I think the Rams are going to be a little interesting. When he comes back with Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell. Now let's get back to the field goal that you kick with 4 seconds left. Now you mean to tell me? Let me tell you something. Now you literally kicked that field goal. That was for your Rams fan base. Literally for your Rams fan base. Everybody that picked the Rams plus 7.5 benefited from that, but he just snuck. I mean, when I talk about snuck, he stole off the San Francisco 49er fans that picked or people that picked San Francisco on minus 7.5. I mean, I was livid. What are you doing? There's no moral victories in the NFL. Oh, we lost by 7 instead of 10. No, and the L is still an L. What the hell are you doing? You kicking that field goal does nothing for you. What does it do for you? Does it make you richer? Does it make your pockets richer?
Brett Maher some more reps, man. He needs those.
No, some more reps. No, they could have put some more dollars in my pocket. That's what they could have did. And so that just makes me irate as a guy that bets. I can't stand Sean McVay right now. You are like enemy number 1 for the rest of this week. I hope you don't pull that BS next week, because I probably will buy a ticket to LA, and I will probably, and you're gonna have to see me outside. They're gonna, security gonna have to come get me.
Anyways, on the Rams side, Stafford, he threw a touchdown. He had 2 interceptions. Kyrie Williams continues to be a nice find for the Rams at the running game. 14-52 and a touchdown. Obviously, Puka Nacua, 15 catches for 147 yards, and Williams had the lone receiving touchdown for the Rams. As San Francisco continues to probably be the best team in the NFC.
No,
you feel better?
I don't feel better at all. I don't feel better at all. I feel better at all because man, I put a half Cino on that parlay, and I'm
Man, Christian, go ahead.
San Francisco looked a little vulnerable on defense.
Good bit, didn't they?
Yeah, like I just think it was the Rams taking it personal because it just seems like every time these two teams play, San Francisco always finds a way to just punch the Rams in the mouth. This is their 9th straight win in the regular season over the Rams. The Rams haven't beat the 49ers in the regular season since 2018. Let that sink in. But the Rams got some runs. But once again, San Francisco just made more plays when it mattered most. And that's why they're 2-0 right now. And look, they don't need Brock Purdy to take a game over. They just need him to control things. He has more than enough weapons to get the ball to, and he has one of the 2 or 3 best defenses in the league to get him the ball back and get off the field when it's necessary. But yeah, when you can beat a team at their own game and when you can punch them in the mouth, get downhill, and be physical in those trenches, you have a chance to beat them. But the 49ers held on.
The interception, I'm sorry, but the interception that Matthew Stafford threw, that was big time, and it pretty much took him out the game. Where they were driving, they could have tied the game, and they were driving. That was on Van Jefferson.
Exactly.
He should have cut. He should have when he was going on that drag route. He should have came back more into the zone. Instead, he drifts up towards the safety, which allowed his man to cut that pass off. And I think that's what Matthew Stafford was alluding to. That's why he was mad. He's like, and that's where guys like Cooper Kupp come in and they find the hole in the zone and they make the right read, as opposed to a guy like Van Jefferson, who's a guy that's used to take the top off the defense, as opposed to a guy that actually can take the ball over the middle. As opposed, like Puka Nacua, he's gonna be perfect. Him and Tutu Atwell are going to be perfect when Cooper Kupp comes back. They're going to be perfect. I think that offense is going to be really good when Cooper Kupp comes back. In my opinion, I think that defense is going to be good.
I'm gonna just say this, and then we can move on. 55-22, and I understand that San Francisco front is hard to run against. I don't want Matthew Stafford at this stage in his career throwing the ball 55 times, especially off the surgically repaired arm. I don't want that. And and obviously like Skip Bayless likes to clown Aaron Donald, especially in these type of games. It's like, I understand the 49ers front is solid, like it's one of the best. You still triple team Aaron Donald. Like I saw the clip. Like it was 3 bodies. It was 3 people around Aaron Donald at all times. Because it's like, you're not from the wreck shop. You ain't finna have Brock Purdy pulling the Geno Smith screaming, "Oh my God," when Aaron Donald's coming down the barrel. 55-22, and Aaron Donald getting triple teamed. So, yeah.
Moving on from this game, we got one of the biggest comebacks in the history of the National Football League as the New York Giants erase a 21-point deficit to come up and beat the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona in the Big Toaster. They win 31-28. Daniel Jones bounced back after what was a abysmal week 1. 26-37, 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that 1 interception. He also had a rushing touchdown, as did Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hyatt, welcome to the NFL. 2 catches for 89 yards in this game. Isaiah Hodgins and Saquon Barkley had receiving touchdowns. On the other side, Joshua Dobbs played okay in this game. 21 of 31, 228 yards and a touchdown. James Conner, Joshua Dobbs both had rushing touchdowns. And Marquise Brown had a walk-in touchdown. One of the easiest touchdowns he'll ever have as a pro. Had the lone rushing touchdown as the Arizona Cardinals basically let this game slip away in the second half as the Giants came back and won this game going away. Christian, this is your team.
TJ,
break it down.
And I want TJ to talk. Go ahead, nephew.
Oh, I was just pointing because Bryce Young just threw a pick. Anyway, but thank you. Arizona. Like, when you look at everything on paper, right? But Arizona did everything right to win this game, right? 31 pass attempts to 29 rush attempts. That's good, right? That's about even. That's about what you want. 1 touchdown passing, 2 touchdowns on the ground, right? They forced some turnovers. They got a pick that they had. Nope. Okay, they just got the pick. No fumbles. They sacked Daniel Jones 3 times. They did everything they had to do to win this game except win the game. And Christian knows that one Cardinals fan that's in his group that runs his mouth like they just holier than thou.
Him, yeah,
Yeah, him,
he,
him,
yeah,
him.
he owed me $150.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
The
I
only
hope
thing
you
I
get
hate
that
about
back,
this,
son.
the only thing I hate, like the only thing I, well, one of the things I love about this game is the Giants ain't have to wait to do no soul searching. They did it right there in that locker room.
Yeah.
They came back out. They handled their business. The only thing I hate, like, obviously, like the you won by 3. At this point, I understand, especially after last week. You take this dub any way you get it. But going into that halftime, you were outscored. Like you scored a touchdown up until the third quarter of the second game of the season. That's if you're a fan, like that's like, yo, what the hell? You lose Saquon Barkley again for 3 weeks. Not season ending, but still annoying because he's kind of what like he's what makes your offense go. Now teams are gonna know that hey, I don't have to worry about Saquon Barkley for at least 3 weeks. Daniel Jones, ready to bounce back. I mean, honestly, you couldn't have played no worse than what you did against the Cowboys. But then again, the Cowboys, that's one of the best defenses in the league. They're gonna make a lot of people look stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just shout out to the Giants for grinding that out. Soul searched at halftime. How many teams do we see going down big at half and just say, "Well, we're just gonna pack this one up, get ready for next week. Whatever happens, happens." Not
Yeah.
this, like not them.
Yeah. Here's the one thing I want to say about Arizona. I think everybody's expecting them to just lay down, but realistically speaking, they could be a surprise 2-0 because they played well enough to win against the Commanders, and they played well enough to win yesterday, like TJ said. But they can't close out. I mean, only time will tell when they get that first win. And as for the Giants, I think TJ said it best. You know, they did soul searching. They came out and they punched Arizona in the mouth in the second half. And plus, that's our house. We remember what happened there almost 15 years ago. That's our house.
Long time ago. A long time
Who
ago.
cares? That's our house.
That kid got a driving permit now.
Izzy.
Man, you know, I'm gonna say this, man. Josh Dobbs played his butt off, man. I got to give that guy a head of applause because, man, I did not expect, you know, like Christian just said, man, that Arizona Cardinals team is scrappy, and Josh Dobbs played as well as he could for what 3 quarters, in that game. So I mean that man. I mean he was diving in the end zone. He was putting his body on the line. I mean they had the running game going. I mean James Conner was doing some things in the first half. So you know just the Cardinals. Just you know you just see the discrepancy in talent, and you saw the talent took over. I think at some point the New York Giants you know took a you know. Looked at the man in the mirror and said, "Look, we got to pick ourselves up, especially since the Saquon. Like I think from that Saquon Barkley injury on is when they kind of started to ascend in that game. So, you know, I don't like to see the Giants win like this. They should win comfortably versus a team like the Arizona Cardinals. But I do got to give it. Daniel Jones had some fight in him. He got it done by any means necessary, and a win is a win. Any given Sunday, you got to take a win. So.
Moving on from this game, we're just going to straight skip the Dallas Jets game. We could talk about both of these two teams when we do their preview tomorrow, as we're running up against the time here. Washington Commanders, they pull out a heroic comeback against the Denver Broncos, 35-33 over the Russell Wilson-led Denver Broncos, as they do not convert the 2-point conversion that could have extended this game, as they complete the Hail Mary. They get the Hail Mary, but then they don't complete the 2-point conversion. They fall to 0-2. Sam Howell looks like he might be the truth. Moving on, Sam Howell, 27-39, 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson, another good game for him, 2 touchdowns on the ground there. Scary Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas had the receiving touchdowns. And Russell Wilson, 3 touchdowns to 1 interception.
Another shout out, David. Look at that.
Just real quick. No, just
until Wednesday, baby.
And Marvin Mims Jr., 2 catches for 111 yards and a touchdown. Brandon Johnson, who I've never heard of, has 2 touchdowns in this game either as well.
Just real quick on that 2-point conversion. Was that PI?
No.
Izzy.
Barely. No. I would hate for that. I would hate for that to be called PI.
Okay,
Nah, that wasn't.
that wasn't PI. All right, that's all I want.
Now I would have hate for that to be called PI because that's just like for it to be PI. I mean, I would hit him like at least a second before, knock him
But
off his route, pull him down. I mean, it was bang,
anyways,
bang.
but yeah, Denver was up 21-3. Washington obviously made this interesting by halftime. I think they were only down by 10 points or one touchdown at halftime. They come back and they win this game 35-33. Sam Howell looks like he could be the franchise guy.
Sam Howell was a projected number 1 overall pick at one point in college.
True.
But at the same time, he also has like no expectations. So like, no.
That's true too. That's true. That's very.
It's very easy to play when you have house money. Like,
yeah,
that's true.
So
very true there.
No expectations. It's like if they move on from him after this season, or next season, which could happen, we don't know. It wouldn't surprise any of us, right? But yeah,
no.
Denver's in trouble. Denver's got talk about some soul searching. Denver's got some of that to do. And don't get me like Russell Wilson, he probably had he had one of his better games as a Bronco, but it's man, hey, like seriously, like how Bears fans are feeling right now is kind of how Broncos fans are feeling right now. Maybe worse because you gave Russ a bag, yo. You gave that man a bag, a big bag. And yeah, it ain't hitting.
Something's not right with the Broncos. I'm thinking Sean Payton comes in. They have a more experienced coach now, and a no nonsense guy. He's trying to get them right. And this is a bad loss for them. You were up by 18 points at one time?
Yeah, they were up 21-3 at midway through the second half. Their second quarter.
No excuse. You close out. This isn't a good football team right now. Plain and simple. Credit to the Commanders because they were more mentally sound and they were more mentally tough when it mattered most. So, Denver deserves to lose this game, but can we really put this on Russell Wilson? Because he had them in position to win this game. Again, remember, he doesn't play on the defensive side of the ball.
I think that's the big point here, right? This is Denver Broncos defense was one of the best defenses in the league last year. You lose a really respected defensive coordinator who ends up going to Vic Fangio, right, was the defensive coordinator of this team last year. You lose a really highly respected defensive coordinator, and this defense has been abysmal in 2 weeks. You get carved up by the Raiders in week 1, and then you get carved up by Sam Howell. No disrespect or anything really, but like these are not potent offenses. Like just not, and you can't stop them. This is a defense that at one point last year, if they had just been able to score 16 points a game, they would have been like 11-1.
11-1, bro.
And this defense is nothing has changed other than they can't generate a consistent pass rush to save their lives. So Denver, when we talk about soul searching, Denver's going to have to do some real soul searching because they're just not a good football team right now. And this is the final game of the Sunday. We got Sunday Night Football. We got the Miami Dolphins beating the New England Patriots by 7 points. And that Cole Strange did not reach the yardage for the first down. They made the right call on the field through replay. He did not reach the yardage gain. He was clearly short.
He was an inch. He was an inch too short. After the Bears game, after the Bears game, I was kind of footballed out. I didn't want to watch no more. I mean, I had the Cowboys Jets game on for like 2 minutes, and when I saw the Garrett Wilson touchdown, and I saw Dallas just do what they did.
We didn't even talk about that game. That's how
much
bloodbath there was.
I'm like, this shit over with. And then, but I saw what made me turn this one back on was how y'all was talking about it. I'm like, let me see what's happening here.
And Izzy, yes, that was absolutely. The defense is kind of like you hit him right in the helmet. Like you led with the helmet, crown of the helmet. You hit Jalen Waddle right in the head with your helmet, hit his helmet. That's the rule. That's what they want to get out of the game. So please,
I'm sick. You know what? Whatever. We're gonna talk about it another
It's
day.
like this.
I understand you have some jelly beans on the line, but that was absolutely the right
I
call. It
missed,
was absolutely a penalty. But back to this game. Tua Tagovailoa, 21 of 30, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Raheem Mostert was a beast in this game. 6.7 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns in this game. Tyreek Hill had the lone touchdown as New England did a very, very good job of limiting Tyreek Hill with their defensive scheme. Mac Jones played really good in the second half, was borderline terrible in the first half. This seems to be the MO for the New England Patriots this year. They're just going to lose heartbreakers constantly. 31 of 42, 231, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Ramondre Stevenson had the lone rushing touchdown, and Hunter Henry had the touchdown in that game, which they missed a clear, obvious OPI on that play as he was just blocking, and then he just stopped blocking and was open.
Christian Gonzalez looks like the real deal.
Yeah, that pick he had is really nice. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Yeah, it looks like the real deal.
It's the name.
Yeah, because of Christian. No, I mean, he was the primary guy on Tyreek Hill. I mean, anytime you hold the cheetah to only 40 yards, a modest game, no touchdowns. I mean, you call my book as being a real deal as a rookie, and you got to pick against them. Even though the ball was underthrown by Tua. Tua throws the ball 5-7 more yards longer than that. Tyreek Hill's in for a touchdown. So you can only get deal the hands. Take the hands.
Not to mention New England, like they still played stout divas, even though Jonathan Jones injured, didn't play in this game. Marcus Jones, who was supposed to be their starting corner, got injured and couldn't return to the game in the first half. Christian Gonzalez really stepped up and showed out. Like that pick he had, if you haven't seen it, it is a really impressive interception.
I think offensively, I mean, I think we had these concerns with New England, even last year, and Tom Brady's not walking through the door, and Mac Jones, you can't expect Mac Jones to make a bunch of second and third option guys look like they're number ones, like Tom Brady did for so many years. Because Mac Jones isn't that guy. I mean, he's a nice quarterback, but he's not Tom Brady. So for a guy like Mac Jones, you really have to get him a certified number one guy. And New England's hasn't done that yet since in the Mac Jones regime. So, Hunter Henry looks like his main target, and it's going to continue to be his main target until you probably get that. I mean, you got Juju to kind of be your number one. He hasn't really proved it. And I mean, you want to run the football, effectively. But let's give credit where credit's due. I mean, that Miami offensive line and their defensive line is quite physical, especially this season. So I gotta give it up. I mean, Mike McDaniels has a really good team over there. They're fast, they're physical, and they're gonna win a decent amount of games. This season playing that brand of style football.
The crazy thing is that they're doing all this without Jalen Ramsey too. Like he's still
But look, I have to applaud Mike McDaniel for this game plan because they passed the ball to set up the run. Look at New England. They didn't really load that box up yesterday because what was the point of emphasis? And what is it that Bill Belichick likes to do? Take away who you get the ball to and force you to beat them with someone else. So Miami ran that ball, kept running. They passed the ball first. Then in third and short yardage situations, they would run the football. And it seemed like New England had a tough time. But I got to give the Patriots credit. This is 2 games in a row where they've shown some fight, but they haven't been able to finish the fight.
Yeah, piggybacking off that last statement that Christian said, Mac Jones threw the ball 42 times. They only ran the ball 25 times. No, don't get me wrong. Izzy brought up a good point too. Coaching, right? It's Bill O'Brien's offense, not Patricia Judge combined. Like not that bullshit we saw last season. I would just like, again, for the Patriots, because you don't have that surefire number one guy, I would like a more balanced approach in the Patriot offense. Like, because week 1 against the Eagles, I guess you could say it was kind of Kendrick Bourne, who was the number one guy. Like, he had 2 touchdowns, I think.
Yeah, he did.
This week it was Devontae Parker and Hunter Henry. They both had 6 catches apiece. You gotta find a mixture that really works. And the running back by committee thing, I don't mind that at all. I don't like the fact that Mac Jones and Ezekiel Elliott have the same amount of rush attempts. That's not sitting well with my soul. I don't like that at all. You can't have that because what the hell is that? Like seriously, what is that? Like you didn't bring in Ezekiel Elliott to have the same amount of carries as Mac Jones. You brought him in to form a 1-2 punch with Ramondre Stevenson, which could be a very solid 1-2 punch if you utilize it the way it's supposed to be utilized. Now, don't get me wrong, like I understand like that Dolphins front, that's tough. You got Christian Wilkins in the middle. You got Jerome Baker at linebacker. You got Bradley Chubb off the edge. That's a tough front to run against.
And Jalen Phillips was even playing on that team. He might be the best edge rusher they got.
Once again, TJ with Christian Wilkins. It's the name, baby. That's all it is.
But that's been our week 2 so far. Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We will be breaking down the 2 Monday Night Football games tomorrow, as well as getting into week number 3 with our preview and our predictions tomorrow. That goes live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So keep an eye out for that content. Gentlemen, real quick before we get up out of here, New Orleans is currently up 6-3 over the Carolina Panthers. Who wins that game? Go.
New Orleans.
I like the Saints. I think they're going to throw a ton of different looks at Bryce Young. The Saints Tuscaloosa, young man.
Yeah, I like the Saints right now. It's looking good. I just don't. I hate the Taysom Hill switching out Taysom Hill and Derek Carr thing. That crap.
I don't. Hey.
I'm gonna be a little selfish here. I'm gonna take the Carolina Panthers because of fantasy reasons. Moving on to the other game. To the game that's about to kick off here in a matter of minutes. We got the Cleveland Browns going into Heinz Stadium and taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm taking Pittsburgh to win this game.
I'm taking the Steelers as well. I just don't see Cleveland having back-to-back great games like that.
Ooh, I'm gonna go Cleveland. I'm gonna go Cleveland.
Izzy.
I'm gonna go Cleveland as well.
I love it when it's 2. I love it when it's 2-1. I love it.
We'll see who was right when we talk tomorrow as we break down these Monday Night Football games. I'm David Huppman. Right there is Israel Vera, TJ Hopkins, and from the Daily Blitz.blog, Mr. Christian Simpson. And gentlemen, what do we do here at the Prime, my friends?
We
bring the heat, baby.
Heat, baby.
Let's go. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Enjoy the games. I'm going to get myself some dinner because I have not eaten today. So see you guys later.